The Job Search, Part B. The Job Search Part B course will provide you information regarding employment advertisements, job classifications, the cold call, informational interviews, social media, job search tips for people with disabilities, and special groups. Employment advertisements. Bring in a copy of your local paper. On the first page, look for an index telling you the section where you will find the classified want ads. Find the employment section. Look it over. You will see that most papers have jobs divided by categories. You may see categories such as accounting, banking finance, computer technology, and medical. Next, look at want ads in your paper. Notice that some are longer than others. At a minimum, the ad should tell you the kind of job being offered, the experience needed, and a phone number to call. Usually, they also provide more details such as the name of the employer and whether the job is full-time or part-time. 2 examples of job advertisements. Common want ad abbreviations.
Bill, take a look at the morning paper and see what we can find.
Let me turn to the classified section to see what jobs are available.
I only see marketing jobs, is this right?
Hillary, you're looking in the wrong category. Most papers have jobs divided by categories such as accounting, banking finance, computer technology, medical, and so on.
Bill, look at these ads. Some are longer than others. I wonder why that is.
Well, what I see is that the ad should be long enough to tell you what kind of job is offered, the experience that's needed, and a phone number to call. I see that some jobs provide more details than others, such as the name of the employer and if it's full-time or part-time. That's such a great help.
Look at these 2 ads. I love when they're printed this way because it has all the information I need to tell me if I'm interested and qualified in applying.
Hillary, I just noticed on top of the employment section all of these abbreviations are explained. This is really a big help to me because I have no idea what some of these abbreviations mean. Job classifications. Click on the menu to the left to find out more about job classifications.
Full-time employment is employment in which the employee works the full number of hours defined as such by his or her employer. Full-time employment often comes with benefits that are not typically offered to part-time, temporary, or flexible workers, such as annual leave, sick leave, and health insurance. Full-time jobs are often considered careers. They sometimes pay more than jobs, and usually carry more hours per week. Full-time varies between companies and is often based on the shift the employee must work during each work week. The standard work week consists of 5 8-hour days, totaling 40 hours. While a 4-day week generally consists of 4 10-hour days, it may also consist of as little as 9 hours or 10 hours including a half-hour lunch, full-time being 40, 36, or 38 hours respectively. 12-hour shifts are 3 days per week, thus 36 hours is always full-time, compensating slightly for the greatly increased fatigue which a person experiences on such long shifts. Shifts can also be very irregular, as in retail stores, but are still full-time if the required number of hours is reached. A person who needs full-time work but is dropped to part-time is underemployed, which is sometimes a form of constructive dismissal to avoid paying unemployment benefits to a laid-off worker. A part-time job is a form of employment that carries fewer hours per week than a full-time job. Workers are considered to be part-time if they commonly work fewer than 30 or 35 hours per week. According to the International Labour Organization, the number of part-time workers has increased from 1/4 to a half in the past 20 years in most developed countries, excluding the United States. There are many reasons for working part-time, including the desire to do so, having one's hours cut back by an employer, and being unable to find a full-time job. Temporary work or temporary employment refers to a situation where the employee is expected to leave the employer within a certain period of time. Temporary employees are sometimes called contractual or seasonal or freelance or temps. Agricultural workers are often temporarily employed for harvesting. In some instances, temporary professional employees, particularly in the white-collar fields such as law, engineering, and accounting, even refer to themselves as consultants. This is not to be confused with consultants, as in management consulting. Temporary workers may work full-time or part-time, depending on the individual case. In some instances, they are given benefits, such as health insurance, but usually the best treatment is reserved for the permanent employees. Not all temporary employees find jobs through a temporary employment agency. For example, a person can simply apply at a local park for seasonal jobs. 1099 contractor, or, more accurately, an independent contractor, is a legal and tax-related term used in the United States to refer to the type of worker that contracts his or her services out to a business or businesses. The 1099 refers to the Internal Revenue Service, IRS form that an independent contractor receives stating his or her income from a given business in a given tax year. A 1099 contractor is not an employee of the business or businesses with which he or she works. Instead, he or she is an independent contractor or consultant who is considered to be self-employed. Being a 1099 contractor can offer extraordinary freedoms, but, like most things, it can be considered to have some downsides as well. 1099 contractors who make more than $600 USD per year are issued 1099 forms from the business or businesses that paid them. On their income, 1099 contractors must pay income and Social Security taxes. Employees must do the same. The difference is that employers generally withhold taxes on the employee's behalf. Additionally, employers generally cover half of the total Social Security and Medicare taxes, currently a 15% tax of net income, meaning that the employer covers 7.5% on behalf of the employee. Because an independent contractor is considered self-employed, he or she is essentially the employer and employee. Therefore, the 1099 contractor is responsible for withholding his or her own taxes and paying the total amount of the Social Security and Medicare taxes. Because the 1099 is not making installments against his or her annual tax responsibility, as the employee does by the withholdings made on his or her paychecks, the 1099 contractor is supposed to make quarterly installments against his or her projected tax responsibility for the year. Bill, sometimes I get confused with full-time and part-time hours.
The main difference is full-time employment is usually 35 or more and comes with benefits that aren't offered to part-time, seasonal, and temporary employees. Some of the benefits offered to full-time employees are annual leave, sick leave, and health insurance.
Oh, so what's part-time?
Someone who works part-time works fewer than 35 hours a week. Employees work part-time for many different reasons, such as personal choice, schedule restrictions, or just an inability to find full-time work.
There are jobs here that are marked as temporary/seasonal. I'm not too sure I understand that.
I understand that a temporary position can be any length of time, but will not lead into a permanent position. Unfortunately, with these jobs, there is an end in sight. Temporary positions can be full-time or part-time, but still are temporary. A seasonal position is similar to a temporary job, but the end times are more specific. For example, a sales position may only be for the Christmas season and may be only for a month and a half. Employment agencies consist of day labor, temporary, perm temp, temporary to permanent, direct hire.
One of the best and easiest ways to make personal contact with potential employers is to cold call. Click on the buttons below to find out more about cold calling.
The cold call. Step 1. Be persistent. The objective of a cold call is to get an interview. You must be prepared, however, to receive many more rejections than appointments. It's much easier to say no over the phone than face to face, and you are calling cold. Be persistent. The cold call. Step 2. Name of hiring authority. The secret of successful calling is to obtain the name of the hiring authority, not the personnel office, and ask to speak with him or her directly. The cold call. Step 3. Hiring manager. Your research and network may provide the name of the person who actually does the hiring. If it does not, your first encounter may be with the secretary or receptionist. Remember, many of them have the power to make or break your job search efforts. Their job is to screen calls. If you are polite and ask for advice, you may just get through to the person with whom you need to speak. Ask for the name of the supervisor for the department in which you are seeking work. The cold call. Step 4. Voicemail. Another tool that is used to screen calls is voicemail. While some people find it frustrating, it provides an opportunity to sell yourself because most employers listen to their voicemail. Leave more than a generic message. Use the voicemail to market your skills and interest in the company. The cold call. Step 5. 30-second commercial. When you reach the hiring authority or voicemail, use your 30-second commercial to briefly state who you are, your job objective, and what you have to offer. 2 examples of cold calls. Here are 2 different approaches to a cold call. Which do you think will result in an interview? Hello, my name is Job Hunter. May I speak with Mr. Smith, please? Mr. Smith, my name is Job Hunter. I was wondering if you had any openings in the sales and marketing division. Or, hello, my name is Job Hunter. May I speak with Mr. Smith, please? Mr. Smith, my name is Job Hunter. Tom Jones at Georgia Southern College suggested that I contact you. I understand that your company is planning a major expansion and may be looking for someone to head the sales and marketing program. For the past 3 years, I have served as Vice President of Sales for ABC Company. ABC recently closed the Southeast operations. Prior to that, I was employed by XYZ Textbooks, 5 years as a sales representative and 3 years as a sales manager. In both jobs, I significantly increased customer accounts and sales profits. When may I come in and talk to you? Cold calling techniques. It's important to practice your presentation so that you show no hesitation or uncertainty and come across in a confident, business-like manner. The more contacts you make, the better you become. Always ask if you can come in for an interview, even if they say there are no immediate openings. Suggested responses to no openings. When may I call back? I am very interested in working for your company. Could my skills be useful for other positions? Do you know of other companies similar to yours that may be interested in someone with my skills?
Good morning, ABC Company. How may I help you?
Hey, good morning. Are you doing any hiring?
We're not doing any hiring at this time.
All right, thank you.
Bill, may I make some suggestions?
Absolutely.
I've made many cold calls, and let me give you a couple of tips on how to handle it. The first thing about cold calls is to try and get an interview. However, most often you'll get rejections that they are not hiring. I found that the secret of being successful is speaking with the hiring manager, not human resources, and asking to speak with them directly. This requires a little research before you make the call.
But when I call, I always get the secretary or receptionist.
This is true for the most part. This is why your first goal here is to get him or her to connect you with someone who may be able to give you some advice to help you find the right person with whom to speak.
Hillary, how about you give me an example of what I should say during a cold call?
Okay. Mr. Smith, my name is Hillary Jones. Chelsea from Southeastern College suggested I contact you. I understand that your company is planning a major expansion and may be looking for experienced help for your sales and marketing program. For the past 3 years, I've worked as an outside sales rep for the ABC company. ABC recently closed the Southeast operations. Prior to that, I was employed by XYZ Textbooks, 5 years as a sales rep and 3 years as a sales manager. Both years I increased customer accounts and sales profits.
That was excellent, Hillary. I'm scared of being rejected, however.
It's important to be prepared for rejection or negative responses. However, persistence is very important. It's okay to ask if you can send your resume or to call back in 2 weeks.
Informational interviews. Another technique that is useful during the job search process is informational interviewing. The purpose of this process is to find out what it is like to perform a certain job or work in a specific industry. This is different from networking, which is aimed more at finding a job rather than gathering information. Informational interviewing gives you a chance to find out more about career paths and job opportunities while developing contacts with key people and learning to sell your skills in a non-threatening situation. Informational interviews. What to ask. Click each note to learn more. Present job. Describe how you occupy your time during a typical workday week. What skills or talents are more essential for effectiveness in this job? What are the toughest problems, decisions you must deal with? What do you find most rewarding about the work itself? Advantages. What do you like least about it? Disadvantages. Preparation. What credentials, education degrees, licenses, etc. are required for entry into this kind of work? What kind of prior experiences are absolutely essential? How did you prepare yourself for this work? Personal background. Before graduation, what did you think your career was going to be? How did you get into this type of work? Could you describe the progression of your career? Hiring decisions. If you were to hire someone to work with you today, what factors would be most important in your hiring decisions and why? If I became an applicant for this type of work, who should I contact in your organization or in another firm? What to ask. You should have some ideas of your own skills, interests, and abilities prior to the interview. You will be able to state what you can do and be better equipped to ask, where do you feel that the best opportunities are for someone with my skills and experience, education, background? You should develop additional questions to fit your particular situation and experience level. We have included the following list of sample questions to get you started. Informational interviews. What to ask. Click each note to learn more. Professional development. Where are the best programs of advanced study? Formal degree programs, corporate training programs, continued education. What are the professional journals in your field? Which ones do you recommend? Career future. If things develop as you'd like, what sort of ideal career do you see for yourself? What different kinds of work do you feel that you could do? What sort of changes are occurring in your field? How rapidly is it growing? Lifestyle. What type of lifestyle do people in your position lead? What obligations does your work place upon you outside of your ordinary work week? How many hours do you work in the average week? How much flexibility do you have in terms of dress, hours of work, vacation, schedule, etc.? What kind of people do you deal with in your job? Advice to job seekers. What kind of experience, paid employment or otherwise, would you most strongly recommend? If you had to do it all over again, what would you do differently? Where would you recommend I look for work in this field? What kind of people tend to do well in your field? What would be your advice to individuals preparing for this type of work? Can you suggest anyone else whom I can contact for additional information? May I have your permission to use your name when I call or contact them? Helpful hints. Remember, you will be meeting primarily to gather up-to-date information about an area of interest. You are not asking the person for a job. Always make an appointment except with close personal friends. This puts your conversation on a business-like basis and helps you eliminate interruptions. Be prepared to take the lead in the conversation. Remember, you are the interviewer. Prepare in advance by learning everything you can about the person, the organization, and the field. Have the questions in mind that show that you have done your homework. Respect the person's time. Plan a manageable agenda. A half hour is reasonable. Be sure to send a thank you letter following the informational interview. Keep in touch with your contacts. Inform them of job interviews and offers. Supply and demand. How do people find out about jobs in your agency? What types of employers hire people in your line of work? Where are they located? Is turnover high? Do people normally move to other companies, or do they move up within the company?
Bill, have you ever been involved in an informational interview? Because I'm not too sure what it is.
I have. Informational interviews are great ways to interview companies to determine the skills, qualifications, and experience required to become employed in a given occupation. Because you are only asking to interview, hiring managers are more likely to give you this opportunity. Social media. Click on the menu to the left to learn more about social media. What is social media? Social media is at the intersection of technology and human interaction. We are gradually shifting from static commercial websites to greater human interaction. The recent boom in social media usage makes it easier than ever for a job seeker to get their resume in front of the right person, but a word of caution for the eager job seeker. If you are looking for a job using some form of social media, you better make sure that every profile you own on every network is free and clear of inappropriate materials, photos, comments, etc. Don't think that recruiters won't go through your online stuff when considering whether to hire you or not. A quick glance through your Facebook profile may give the recruiter every reason not to consider you for the job. People search. The majority of jobs aren't posted online. Hiring managers get a list of employee referral candidates before they even bother to view resumes from those who submit them online. Sometimes the listed jobs aren't available or never existed in the first place. Many studies have noted that 80% of jobs are taken through networking, but few have sought to use the web to search and locate people they would actually enjoy working for at companies that they would get excited about. Identify the top 5 companies that you would like to work for. Use a focused approach instead of flooding thousands of inboxes with spam. You want to brand yourself not just as the person who's the best fit for the job, but as someone who is eager and ecstatic to work for the company. Use search engines to track employees that currently work there. There are over 130 blogs in Technorati, and you can search through them to possibly find someone who works at one of your top 5 companies. You can search through corporate groups, pages, and people on Facebook. You can even do the same on Twitter. Then there are people search engines such as PQ and Wink. Once you find a contact name, try Googling it to see if there's any additional information you can find about that person. Connect with the person directly. Social media has broken down barriers to a point where you can message someone you aren't friends with and don't have contact information for without any hassles. Before you message a target employee, realize that they receive messages from people asking for jobs all the time and that they might not want to be bothered on Facebook where their true friends are. As long as you've done your homework on the company and them, tailor a message that states who you are and your interest without asking for a job at first. Get to know them, and then by the 3rd or 4th messages, ask if there is an available opportunity. Social media. Click on the menu to the left to learn more about social media. Use attraction-based marketing to get jobs. The traditional way of searching for a job was proactive, forcing you to start a job that you might have not enjoyed. The new approach is about building a powerful, personal brand and attracting job opportunities directly into your doorstep. How do you do this? You become a content producer instead of just a consumer, and the number one way to do that on the web is to launch a blog that centers around both your expertise and passions. Commitment. You need to be passionate to be committed to this project because it requires a lot of writing, creativity, and consistency in order for it to actually help you. A blog is non-intrusive, harmless, and a generous way of getting recruiters interested in your brand without you even asking for a job. Make the recruiters fall in love with you and send you opportunities that are related to your blog content so you end up happy in the end. New Age Marketing. This works a lot and is expected for new age marketing jobs that require experience in social media and can even help you jumpstart a new business off your blog platform. By pulling recruiters into your world, you are able to impress them with what you want them to see, and they can make a quick decision whether to hire you or not without you hearing about rejection. Start a blog today using WordPress.com for beginners, or install WordPress.org onto your own host, such as GoDaddy or Bluehost. Twitter. Twitter has become the ultimate utility to connect directly with recruiters and employees at companies you want to work for. By conducting Twitter searches, following recruiters on your account, and using the hash sign to communicate with them on occasion, you will start to learn a lot about them and their companies. Before you follow anyone on Twitter, you have to have a completed profile. This means you should have a short bio, the location where you're from, a link to a site that recruiters can go to for more information. I recommend your blog or your LinkedIn profile, and an avatar of yourself, not a clown or Homer Simpson, please. This way, you stand a better chance of securing an opportunity or a relationship with people who care enough to read your profile. More about Twitter. Most people get jobs on Twitter by already having hundreds or thousands of followers. For example, I've heard of at least 10 people getting a job by tweeting, "just got laid off, looking for a job in finance," and then receiving a few direct messages from people who want to help them. Of course, these individuals had built trust, credibility, and relationships with their followers over time, so they were more inclined to come to the rescue. You can do the same. Just start right now. Hey, did you know that you can search through employer pages, groups, and people on Facebook?
Yes, it's awesome how we can see if employers are hiring through social media pages. They can even see my pictures so they know who I am. Just to make you aware, if you have anything inappropriate on Facebook, an employer has the ability to look at things on your account and hold it against you. So be careful in regards to what pictures you may have on your account and the information you post.
Capitalize on LinkedIn. It's no surprise that LinkedIn has been extremely profitable and successful as of late. Recruiters are starting to use LinkedIn as the main place for sourcing candidates because it's free and the top professionals are on there. Many people don't use LinkedIn to the best of their ability and fail to complete their entire profile such that it says 100% complete. Capitalize on LinkedIn. Just like any other search engine, keywords are extremely important. You want to fill out your entire profile, just like you would a resume, but include the same avatar that you are using on Twitter, and ensure the summary section is complete. You'll also want to get at least one recommendation from a supervisor or friend, which will give you a 1 next to a thumbs up graphic when people search for you. Then you should import all of your contacts from Outlook, Gmail, etc., so that you can start to build your network or grow your existing network. The more people you're connected to, the better, because you're only able to reach other people in your network, first, second, and third degrees, by having these connections. You may want to pay for a premium account so you can contact other recruiters that may help you. Finally, you should conduct searches on there for jobs that you may be interested in and reach out to those individuals that may supply you with an interview or referral. AdWords and Facebook social ads. Google's AdWords is Google's advertising platform, which offers CPC, cost per click, and CPI, cost per impression, pricing for advertisements on Google and partner sites. Some of their partner sites are newspapers, radio, and TV. Before running your advertisement, you need a landing page. If you have a website or a blog, then use the resume page within it to display through advertising. This works beautifully because recruiters can see that single resume page and notice all the other page options on your website to get a better sense of your brand. How do you create an ad? Please click a folder to the right for more information. URL. For your URL, don't use the URL for your resume page. Instead, use yourname.com for personal branding purposes. Drop the www from the domain you want to promote because it's unnecessary. Description. In the next two description tags, pull out your biggest achievements in 6 words or less and list your personal brand statement or a few descriptors. Title. When you create your ad, label yourself as a specialist, expert, or guru on the title tag. You might want to state the fact that it's your resume first. Facebook social ads. Facebook social ads allow businesses and individuals to advertise using Facebook's newsfeed or left rail. This program works similar to Google's, but you can use a picture, and it's more word-of-mouth friendly because ads travel through the news feeds of friends. How do you create an ad? Please click on a folder to the right for more information. Description. Don't write your resume, but instead give the viewer a quick description of who you are, what you do, and what job you want in 25 words. Title. What is the ad for? The title is the most important piece of your ad because it has the most text emphasis. I would say I want to work for, insert company name, or resume for, insert position type. Try and be as specific as you can. Upload. Once you create your ad, either link it to your Facebook page, LinkedIn profile, or blog website. These ads are all about targeting a specific group that would care about your resume or hiring you for that matter. When you select your target audience, keep your major in mind as well as the company and location. Picture. Just like your Facebook picture, don't use a picture that you wouldn't want shown to your future employer. I would go for a professional yet personal picture. Social media. Construct a video resume and upload it to YouTube. Many video resumes are good while others are so amateur and rehearsed that they subtract from a given candidate's marketing program. The key with a video resume is that very few people have actually created one, so they serve as a differentiator in the recruiting process. A good video resume is short, describes the value you can contribute to a given position, explains why you're the best person for the job, and talks about your background in a story-like format. If you aren't a person with an outgoing and lively personality, then don't bother creating one. Since you're filming yourself, don't rush because you can always try it 100 times before you upload the final version to YouTube. Subscribe to blogs. Many of us subscribe to blogs to receive information based on our interests. Over time, we rely on these sources of information to keep us updated on what is happening in certain industries or different trends that are developing. In the past few years, the larger blogs have started to integrate job banks into their own websites, using software hosting from companies such as Job-O-Matic. This targeting will save you from hours of job searching and help escort you to jobs that you would actually want. New Age Approach. These 7 secrets are extremely important in your next job search. The most successful job searches come from those who have already built up strong networks, both online and off. You need to integrate this new age approach with the traditional approach you've already been using in order to be consistent, so there are no surprises from the recruiter's perspective. They want the candidate they see on paper or online. Using social networking sites for job searching. Social networking sites like Facebook, Twitter, and MySpace are a popular way to keep up with friends and family and make new friends with similar interests. However, these sites can also be used to further your career as well as your social life. Different ways you can utilize social networking sites in a job search include, see the menu to the left. Advertise yourself. Social networking sites are a great way to build an online presence and market yourself. Like a resume, you can control most of the information that you present in your profile on a social networking site. So make sure the information in your profile presents a positive image for prospective employers. Networking. You can search for people who currently work at a company that you would like to work for and contact them. Like regular networking, this can help you find information about the company and whether or not there are any openings. You can join groups related to your career and interests and get connected with people within your field. You can also look up former coworkers and classmates who may be able to give you a referral. Blogging. Most social network sites have some capacity for blogging or microblogging. You can use these blogging features to demonstrate your knowledge in your career field or keep your contacts updated about your job search. Remember that future employers may see this, so keep content appropriate and use proper grammar. Job searching. Most social networking sites have job boards. MySpace has MySpace Jobs, which contains jobs listed in simplyhired.com. At Facebook, you can look at the marketplace application for jobs in your area. LinkedIn has a job search tab. Many companies post openings on their Twitter page, so you can choose to follow companies you are interested in. Tips on using social networking for job hunting. Don't give up on job hunting the old-fashioned way. While social networking sites may help you get referrals, connect to people in your field, and even search for jobs, it should not be the only way you look for jobs. Continue to monitor job boards and aggregators such as Monster and Career Builder. Look for want ads in the local newspaper and on websites of professional organizations, and network in person. Join only as many networking sites as you can regularly maintain. That means that you should be able to update it at least on a weekly basis. You should update Twitter at least once a day. Make sure materials in your profile are appropriate, whether or not you are using it to job search. Many companies check potential employees' profiles on social networking sites. Make sure that the content on your social networking sites are something you would want potential employers to see. Edit out questionable pictures, content, and statements by friends. You might also want to Google your name and see what information turns up. If you don't want people to be able to see your social networking profiles, make sure to edit the privacy of your account.
Click on the tabs above to find out more job search tips for people with disabilities. When any job seeker looks for a job, the main thing to understand is what the employer is looking for in an applicant. All businesses have needs and want to hire the best person for the job. People with disabilities have the desire, skills, and ability to work and may be a good fit for a company. Their focus is to convince an employer they can do the job, and disability should not be a determining factor in the decision-making process. What keeps many people with disabilities from being hired is not their disability, but the prospective employer's misconception about their ability to perform the job. It's up to the job seeker to demonstrate to the employer that regardless of a disability, they are the right person for the job and have the skills and qualifications to do the job. Let's review some general tips for job seekers with disabilities. Job seekers may wonder when is the appropriate time to let a potential employer know about a disability. When to disclose a disability is an individual choice. An employer may not use the interview or the application process to inquire about a potential disability. Additionally, the Americans with Disabilities Act of 1990 has provided guidance that the applicant does not have to disclose their disability at this time if they wish not to do so. After a conditional job offer has been made, some employers require a physical examination and medical history. Some applicants feel comfortable disclosing at this point because the employer has determined that you are a good choice for the position. But be aware that if an accommodation is needed, the latest you can disclose this information is post-offer pre-acceptance. For some ideas about disclosure, refer to the Department of Labor Office of Disability Employment Policies Job Accommodation Network. Your duty during the application process is to highlight your qualifications and experience as they relate to the opening. The employer sets the functions and duties of the job, as well as any expectations he or she has. Be certain that you meet the minimum qualifications for the position and can perform any essential functions of the job, with or without reasonable accommodation, before you apply. Job interviews give the employer a method in which to determine if an applicant is a good fit for the job opening. During the interview process, applicants are usually directly or indirectly asked how he or she would perform the duties of the job. The same is true for a person with a disability. Be prepared to explain or describe how to perform the essential functions of the job. If you will need an accommodation to perform the job, be prepared to briefly explain what you may need and research ahead of time how much it would cost. Some applicants need an accommodation for the interview. Be honest with the employer if you will need some sort of accommodation or assistance at the interview process. In a survey of employer perspectives on the employment of people with disabilities, the concerns employers expressed when hiring people with disabilities were reviewed. Job seekers with disabilities will not necessarily be able to overcome some of these employer opinions, but it may be advantageous for him or her to be aware of what employers believe to help them better overcome this bias. Also, remember that these opinions are not necessarily factual. Of nearly 3,800 respondents, the following table details the overall concerns of employers about hiring people with disabilities, ranked from 1 to 6 on the following page. It costs more to employ workers with disabilities. Workers with disabilities lack the skills and experience to do our jobs. People with disabilities may not be as safe and productive as other workers. Supervisors are not sure how to take disciplinary action. Supervisors are not sure how to evaluate. Supervisors are not comfortable managing. There are also many options that the same companies rated in terms of what might help. Let's see those next. In the same survey, the 3,800 employer respondents revealed strategies that they felt would be helpful in hiring people with disabilities. Overall, they ranked the following points in order of helpfulness to them: employer tax credits and incentives, disability awareness training, visible top management commitment, mentoring, assistive technology, using a specialized recruiting source, flexible work schedule, and training existing staff. Job search tips for ex-offenders. Click on the buttons below to find out more about hiring ex-offenders. Employers who have hired ex-offenders in the past are more likely to hire ex-offenders in the future. This is especially true if they have had a positive experience working with these employees. Employers can be held legally responsible for the criminal actions of the employees and may fear litigation, theft, physical danger, or other negative impacts in the workplace if they hire someone with a criminal background. Many employers conduct criminal record checks to help them determine the likelihood of further legal issues if they hire this person. Some employers are concerned about the types of crimes ex-offenders have committed and would shy away from crimes that are violent in nature or directly related to their field or company interests. For example, most employers are less averse to those individuals charged with drug and property offenses. Many employers who do hire individuals with a criminal history tend to do so on a probationary basis. Being aware of the issues employers face when considering ex-offenders as new employees is the beginning step to negotiating a position for hire. Unfortunately, ex-offenders have many obstacles to overcome. However, if they have an employment representative who can help employers overcome their objections to hiring them, ex-offenders have a much bigger advantage. There are two main benefits to employers who hire ex-offenders. The Work Opportunity Tax Credit, or WOTC, offers employers a tax credit of up to $2,400 of the first year wages for each qualified hire, which includes low-income ex-offenders. And the federal bonding program is sponsored by the USDOL, and it helps to counter employers' concerns about theft by newly hired ex-offenders. The program offers free of charge an insurance bond of up to $5,000 against theft, forgery, larceny, or embezzlement by employees. Concerns for ex-offenders. If you are an ex-offender, you must work diligently to secure a job. Let's look at some areas of special concern. Is it really necessary, and when? The first answer is yes, it is necessary. An employer can dismiss an employee who lies on an application. The subject of when to disclose is a bit more subjective. Some experts say that it may not be apparent on a resume, depending on the type of resume format used. If you are asked to fill out an application, there will almost certainly be questions pertaining to criminal records. Questions about your criminal record on an application may include the following. Have you ever been convicted of a felony? Have you ever been convicted of a felony in the past 7 years? And have you ever spent time in prison? If you answered yes to any of the items mentioned, be very careful what you write on a job application. Do not lie and check no, as you will probably be found out and fired. Remember, most employers perform background and criminal checks. Plus, you will live in fear of being found out until then. Don't leave the space blank. Instead, write the following. I will be happy to explain in person, or see letter of explanation, or put a dash in the space provided. These responses indicate you have a history you would like to discuss. This gives you a chance to explain to your benefit. Don't blow the chance. Be prepared. There are two main benefits to employers who hire ex-offenders. The Work Opportunity Tax Credit, or WOTC, offers employers a tax credit of up to $2,400 of the first year wages for each qualified hire, which includes low-income ex-offenders. And the federal bonding program is sponsored by the USDOL, and it helps to counter employers' concerns about theft by newly hired ex-offenders. The program offers free of charge an insurance bond of up to $5,000 against theft, forgery, larceny, or embezzlement by employees.
More tips for your job search. Click on each note to learn more about the job search. Network, network, network. Maybe more than other job seekers, you'll need to develop above average networking skills. Utilize the people you know from family, friends, parole officers, former teachers, clergy, etc., who may be willing to provide you job leads as well as serve as character references. Master your interview skills. Not only will you need to be able to communicate to an employer that you can do the job, but you'll also have to become a master at answering questions that aren't directly job-related. Prepare for questions about your past. When questioned about your criminal record, something along these lines may facilitate a dialogue with the employer. I appreciate this interview and the chance to explain myself. I have a felony conviction. I'm sorry for the grief I've caused other people, and I'm embarrassed about having committed a crime. Since I wasn't sure about the confidentiality of this information, I just put a dash in that section of the application. What would you like to know about my situation? If you can't explain your record in a positive way, you probably won't get the job. Practice your answers. Entry-level position. Mention your work experience, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you'll be offered positions commensurate with them. You might need to start at an entry-level position to rebuild your credibility. Then work hard, take on additional assignments, be a model employee, and move up the career ladder. Keep trying. It may take a lot of job hunting and a lot of rejections as you search for work, but don't get angry or give up. This is the time that you'll truly prove to society and potential employers that you really have change. Do positive things for yourself, such as taking courses, exercising, meditation, etc., that help relieve stress. Wrapping it up. Having a criminal record does not automatically exclude a qualified job applicant from work, but it may mean some extra steps are needed to secure the job. A good tactic is to be honest and emphasize how you have changed. Employers need good employees, and your first job will be in convincing an employer that you're the kind of person they are looking for. Don't be discouraged if you don't get a job offer when you look for a new job. It may take some time, but keep a positive outlook. The right job will come along. Use a functional resume. Functional resumes rely heavily on skills and not on time frames. This may help to show a prospective employer what kind of relevant skills or experiences you possess. This style resume will hide gaps in your work history. You can use prison-related work or training if you are trying to downplay the gap in employment. Highlight your achievements. Emphasize any education, training, or certifications you have received. Perhaps you earned your GED or took college courses while incarcerated. If you've taken additional courses or training outside of prison, mention those too.